Hello everyone. Welcome to this Serviceman Level 1 training. In this video, you'll gain foundational knowledge on how to safely operate JAKA cobits, perform hard wiring, communicate with PLC systems, and utilize essential user manuals, following JAKA standards. Please ensure that your customers have read through all user manuals and deployment instructions before using JAKA equipment. JAKA's Serviceman Level training is divided into 3 levels, each with an exam to certify your knowledge. This Level 1 session requires a basic understanding of programming, electrical concepts, and familiarity with the Zeus series cobit and controller for hands-on practice. If you have questions during the video, please note them and reach out to us afterward. Before starting, ensure you have watched the JAKA app video training. Any documents or software shown here can be requested through your regional technical support team. After finishing this video, please inform your technical support team to arrange an online exam to certify your knowledge before proceeding to the Level 1 Serviceman examination. So far, watching the JAKA Introduction, JAKA App Basic Operation Training, and this Serviceman Level 1 training is essential for every partner to fully understand JAKA cobit operations. Stay tuned for more training videos to further enhance your expertise with JAKA cobits. The more you learn from these sessions, the easier it becomes to work with JAKA cobits effectively.
Hi, good day to everyone. Today I would like to talk about JAKA Serviceman knowledge required. Basically, when we classify the people who supporting JAKA, not only in terms of deployment to cobot or installation cobot in production line, but also in terms of preparing JAKA cobot. So basically, we split our partner skills into 3 levels. The first one will be level 1. What is level 1? The main separating will be application and maintenance engineer. Level 1 will talk about the basic operation, safety, mechanical setup, electrical setup, basic JAKA through programming app, and basic operation and safety. This one will be in maintenance engineer, and software and firmware updating, joint replacement, basic mini combo repair, basic cabinet repair cap. And for level 2, what you can do, you can know how to integrate JAKA with AGV or doing some complex applications as doing integration with camera or doing the simulation by yourself for approaching end user customer, or you will know how to use the add-on package that JAKA provides. And for level 3, you will know how to do the SDK development, such as when we want to use the IPC for making the cobot. Running program inside the IPC program, not use the JAKA app to running, because when you're using the IPC, right, you can make your own interface or you make your own system easier than using the JAKA app. And this one we accept Python, C, C#, and C++ for the add-on development kit. So from this one, if you want to develop something independently by yourself, such as you want to make some command that JAKA doesn't have it. So you can make your own add-on, and you will know how to use the script programming, and finally you will know how to use the loss. So what is the benefit that you will get after you passing the examination of the level 1? I will come to here. As you can see from this table, in each level we have already separated the part that you can purchase for troubleshooting for repairing. Such as when you want to replace the joint, when joint having some issue and then you want to replace it. So for the real one, you will know how to replace it by yourself, and then you can perform to replace it, and you don't need to wait until technical support from JAKA to support you. So from this one, as you can see, we can, let's say, if your only some part inside your joint broken, such as ABC encoder, and then you don't want to replace the whole joint, so it means you need to pass level 1 and then go to level 2, and then you can order part inside the joint, such as a driver board. Otherwise, you need to order whole joint for repairing it. And in each, we also, and you can see from here, we reducer or motor, so it means you need to pass level 2, and then you know how to do it. Okay, I will come to here. So as you know that our joy is quite common, but if you didn't know it, I recommend you to go back to learn in our user manual first. And for each joint, as you can see, it's common, so it means when you want to spare part, such as spare joint, you can, for example, if we using 5, you can spare to side number 25 and side number 14. So it means you don't need to spare every joint 1 until joint 6. And then you can support customer really fast after you certified in level 1. And here's the tools that you need to do when you want to repair the joint. And we also have the list of the tools that you need to use it. For calibration after repair, I need to inform you beforehand that you need to careful when you really be careful when you want to repair the joint, because some applications such as 3D application with camera or AGV is require very strict accuracy, so it means you need to use the laser calibration. For the laser calibration, you may have no idea what it means. This tool is using the laser calibration for doing laser taper following the position. So this tool basically we will have it in our service center, such as in Changzhou factory or in Europe. But if you doesn't have this tool, you also can do the simple calibration that we will talk about it later in the next video. Okay, I think that's all. Just now I have already explained you what is the JAKA serviceman knowledge. So this one is a tip for only level 1 knowledge required. I will explain you deeper in each topic. For example, L101 basic operation and safety in application engineer. So here is the list that what you gonna do, what you need to know in each topic. The first one will be review safety standard settings in JAKA app and writing wiring method for the standard safety I/O and additional safety I/O setting. For who have already watched my video before may know already that what this mean. So when you want to indicate JAKA with the safety with your system, you need to wiring safety I/O such as the emergency protective stop. And let's say if you want to additional safety I/O, you need to make it like this. So you need to come on here, and then you need to make your own safety. And if you don't know what it is, you can hit on here, and here is a description what is the I/O mean and what we can use with it. And for someone who doesn't know how to make your virtual robot same as what I made, please go back and watch the what the first video that I have shared inside the Google Drive. Okay, I will go next. So from here, what is the basic operation and safety that you need to know? Next is a review all the safety certification. For the safety certification for the cobot itself, you need to know the standard of the cobot or the machine and where you can find our safety certification. For the next one will be the payload card reference. What is the payload card reference? When you want to select the cobot for doing the indication, you need to concern about the payload at the end bank. So you need to compare the payload. Actually, all is inside the user manual. So I will open the user manual for you. Okay, as you can see from here, I have this folder and all of information inside here I will share inside this Google Drive also. So I will put this video inside this folder and then you can come here and then you can learn together with the video. The first one will be L1/01. The first, when you coming inside this folder, the first thing, okay, we come back on here. Oh, yes, the first thing that you need to know is our user manual. Here's our new user manual that we have just released it. And from here we have the safety standard that you need to follow also. And inside here we also have the method, what we gonna do, such as the stop category, which is ISO 13849. And on here you need to read through every page that we provide in here. And then for the wiring method, and here is a payload card offset that I have just talked about. When you want to attach zipper and pick it up some workpiece, you need to consider the overall payload and then consider the centroid also, that is it far from infant. For example, if your centroid point is quite far, around 300 millimeters from the infant, so it means your payload that cobot can accept is only 1.5 kg. Okay, and so for this one, here's a method how to wiring at the front panel of the standard cabinet. So if you're using the standard cabinet, I recommend you to come here and learn each by each what is the function, what is the purpose of each I/O that you can connect to. And in this manual, it will explain you how to connect also. And go next. What is the JAKA GitHub website? For the JAKA GitHub website is this one. So from here, what you can get, the first thing will be the event codes and meaning. So when you facing some error and some error pop up on your JAKA screen, so you can come on here and listen and what you gonna do with it. And the next thing is a command description. So if you want to review your knowledge, what is the purpose of each command, then you can come on here and learn it by yourself. For the next one will be the JAKA communication manual. For this page, it's very important for everyone because when your end user customer want to use some PLC such as Rockwell, and then you want to support to connect with JAKA, and then some people might doesn't have experience using the Rockwell before. You can come on here and then you just click on Rockwell, and it will explain you all what you can do from Rockwell side and JAKA side also. So if you following this manual, so it means you can connect with almost every PLC. And on here, I believe that all the PLC models, all the PLC band is have already written on here. And for the Ethernet IP file, when you're using this one, when you're using this manual, and then if you want to find the EDS file, we have already provided you in here, and for Ethernet, we also provide the XML file already in here. When you're using the EDS file, you need to concern about the version of the controller. If you're using the latest version, you need to use this file, and if you're using the old version, then you need to use this file. And the function I/O. For this function I/O will tell you what is the purpose of each function. It's very useful for you to doing the integration by using this I/O. And here's a method how to add on, but I will talk about this later. The next one is the robot IP address setup. The robot IP address setup, what does that mean? So as you know, the JAKA have already provided you two LAN ports in every controller model. For the standard cabinet, in the front of the cabinet, if you open it up, you will see the LAN port number 1, which is the fixed IP address 10.5.5.100. And another IP address, another LAN port is the bottom of the cabinet. We call that one LAN port number 2, which is adjustable IP address. So on here, after you open up the default controller band, the new controller from factory, the IP address will be like this. It will not set up. It has not been set up, so you need to set up by yourself. So you can type down 192.168, and then for the using LAN port, I will recommend you to use only LAN port number 2, which is this IP address. So we can have another LAN port for doing the troubleshooting. I will come back to here. Modbus TCP, RTU, Profinet, Ethernet IP, Activate, and Mapping Resistor. So for basic operation, this knowledge is required for doing the system, because you need to mapping the IP address, not mapping the address of the Modbus TCP or Modbus RTU. But for Profinet and Ethernet IP, because we have already provided you the XML or EDS file, so you don't need to do anything. You just activate inside the JAKA app, then you can connect with it. And for this one, you need to know how to set up the TCP user frame for manual operation and just inside JAKA app and security. We will talk about the security later, and program and controller data backup procedure. We will talk about how to back up the programming and controller profile data also. And the most important thing is a correction setting page inside the JAKA app, which we always recommend you to learn how to adjust it before you using the JAKA cobot, this page. The next one will be the how to make your virtual robot. And for the L1 mechanical setup, L1 folder number 2 mechanical setup, we will talk about the JAKA model range and working area. So for the JAKA model range and working area will help you select the correct model for doing the system indication, and JAKA model weight. It will inform you how many kg that our packet is. JAKA install cobalt bones, and actually this one is for drawing at the end fang at the base or structure of the cobalt and cabinet and minicap. So include the installation environment and JAKA protection spec, cleanroom class, and repeatability will provide in this folder VPS and link to the installation method, also in mechanical setup. For L1 folder number 3, electrical setup, JAKA IO electrical setup diagram. So for this one, it will help you understand what is the structure inside JAKA app and how to connect with the NPN-PNP method. And power spec required for each model to add the robot inference and using method. For this one, tools IO, I need to write tools IO add the robot inference and using method, because currently in the new version of the cobot, probably new version of the TIO version number 3, you can use the RS485 already with the TIO of the cobot. We will explain you later about this. And understand the RS485 data from hex data. And final one in the first part will be L1 folder number 4, basic JAKA to programming. Actually from this one we have already teach you in the video before. If you have not watched the JAKA to programming video, please go back and watch the JAKA to programming video before you coming to this folder and learn how to use it. And for the maintenance engineer lesson, the first one will be basic operation and safety. We will review the knowledge that you need to know inside the service manual and the robot breakdown situation handling, such as when the robot cannot be put up, the controller cannot be put up, what we can handle with that situation. Error code identified to software or hardware breakdown. So when some issue happen and then error code pop up, and then at the error code you will see how to check the meaning, how to know that what things we need to do when we face some that error. The next one will be the Wi-Fi name change. Troubleshooting cannot be found. The cobot cannot be found inside the JAKA app and can connect to the Wi-Fi, but we cannot connect to the robot. Or we can see the robot appear on the JAKA app, but we cannot connect it. JAKA tool program, we call this one with this JAKA toolkit and upper servo monitor. Upper servo monitor is another software that we typically use for doing the calibration or tracking, troubleshooting, or analyzing the data coming from the motor. And the next one will be can data analysis from fault diagnostic file. For L1 folder number 5 will be software firmware updating. So from here we will explain you what is our software, because as you can see inside our JAKA app, inside our JAKA app you will see that there are a lot of software that you need to upgrade. At the same time, when you want to upgrade the controller, then so it means you need to upgrade the servo or you need to upgrade the ACB. And caution version clarify. So In some old controller, when you want to upgrade to the new version, you need to upgrade to the transit version before you upgrading to the latest version. Otherwise, you will make your hard disk or your SSD board burn. And I will talk about the new feature appear in 1.7.1 version. The next will be joint replacement. So from here, we will talk about the situation that making you need to replace the joint and joint classification, structure of the joint, and purpose of each part inside the joint cabinet. Why we need to know the purpose of inside the joint cabinet, inside the joint? So we can tracking down the issue, what is our root cause, and then we try to troubleshooting it. The next one will be identifying the error regarding the import joint server data backup. How we gonna back up the joint server data? In every server also have the memory that keep inside. So it means if you want to replace the joint, so it means you need to change some parameter inside the joint. So joint replacement procedure baked inside joint TIO replacement procedure version of the TIO. Typical issue in JAKA joint, and these are errors that typical happen with our JAKA cobot, but this one is in L2 speed adjustment and checking feedback from fault diagnosis file, correction detection, advantage adjustment, vibration analysis. For this one is in L2 encoder backdown troubleshooting. So I will connect to next chapter 7 is basic mini cobalt repair. So we talk about the structure of the mini cobalt, but for the mini cobalt, someone who doesn't have the mini cobalt with you, so it means for this chapter we will not go to deep detail because you have a chance to use with the mini cobalt. But if we also will talk about the typical issue happen with the mini cobalt mini cap, the voltage measurement inside the mini cobalt joint, and voltage adjustment when voltage of at the tools of the mini cobalt. When you're using the mini cobalt, so it means you need to use the mini cap. For someone who doesn't know what is the mini cap, we will explain you later in this video. And the final one will be basic cabinet repair. Structure of the cabinet and purpose of each part inside the cabinet. Classify the controller cannot put up situation which we need to check from the LED status on the remote stick. Identify the cabinet breakdown from SSD, SCP, PTU, logic power supply. Upgrading the controller by this one we will not teach you. This one we will not teach you for doing it. Typical vision issue happen, camera cannot be found or something. This one is in L2. And additional, so robotic K simulation second is in L2. But for the typical Q&A that you need to lead to this one and then understand what it does mean. For example, here the question that you will be asked in the future where can see some advantage. So we can go to the link and then we can get the information what end user customer need and how to set up the IP address or something like that. Or when someone asking you about the preventive maintenance, what we're gonna do, or the password for accessing. Basically, we will access the JAKA by using admin password. And for some reason, if you want to let your end user customer can only operate, so it means you need to give this password to your end user customer. And there's a lot of information that you need to read to down here. And last but not least, I would like to talk about breakdown information required. So every time that we get some information from end user customer that okay, clearly the cobot is break out and what is the issue, what is the name. We need to know the nameplate. We need to take a photo with the serial number, with what is the current controller serial number. This is need that we need to do it. And screenshot of the software version, something like this, because we have many software version that we need to updating correctly. Otherwise, you may found some bug on the software on the version that you're using if your version is not correct. And customer contract, something like that. And further description, time of further photo, video of actual application, actual symptom explanation, and error code. And most important thing is a fault diagnostic file. When the cobot having the issue, I mean the bot arms having the issue, it will generate the fault diagnostic file. So this one you need to record and then send it back to us and for investigating what is the root cause so we can help you do the troubleshooting together. And application information. So this is information that from your when you want to deploy cobot to customer, you need to record all the time that when you deploy it, how many months, what is the day of the beginning of deploying the video application and payload or an effector. For the first one that we're gonna talk is a folder number one, basic operation and safety in application engineer. The first time when you want to integrate cobot with your master, you need to know about the JAKA communication. We accept Ethernet IP, Modbus, and Profinet. And for the Modbus, we can be the master also to extend to the device. But please be careful that when you want to extend the Modbus to other device, you need to make sure that your JAKA can register only being the word. So it means it can register only 16 bit. When you want to use this one, here is a table that making JAKA being as a slave. So it means the JAKA will taking control, the PLC will taking control of the JAKA by using this table. But if you want JAKA to control other products like the welding machine, like the HMI, or others like the keeper that controlling by the MOSFET RTU or even MOSFET TCP, you also can do it. But when you do it, you need to careful that the JAKA, I will connect first. You need to be careful that when you want to extend something on here, analog input and analog output can register only 32 data, and for digital output can register only 64 data. So it means you want to register something right when you want to get analog input. For example, for this one we can receive only integer, and when we send it out we also can send only integer. For example, when you want to send something out from the cobot, as making being 25. So when you're using analog output, sending it out being 25, and then your device will see 25. But let's say if you receiving it 25, so it means the device will see 25 also. But the problem is when you're using minus 25, the value that will show up is will not correct anymore because we can be only integer. This things that you need to watch out when using the MOSFET master. So from here I will teach you how to doing the mapping registration following this table. The first thing that we need to use is this one. On here, Mossbot inside the new version, latest version, underscore 40, and you will see the tab around here. This is address. Then if you click inside, you will see the Mossbot address distribution. Already show you up on here. What you need to do, you need to use PLC or IPC for mapping with this data. So I will show you from the beginning. From here, I have already shared you the MOSFET pole. Software, the MOSFET pole software will help you set up the PLC address. So it means if you want to connect with the cobot by using MOSFET, I will recommend you to use MOSFET pole for testing it first. The first thing that we need to know, currently you can see that currently I have already connected. But when you want to use MOSFET pole, first thing you need to do is connect. When you select connect, you need to assign the cobot IP address and the server port. And this one is correct. And then I need to, what the next thing I need to do, I need to set up this bit following this table. So we will see from here. The first one will be the DO1. So it means we will lead but not write able. So it means we will select this one, digit input, 8 and fit to quantity. And currently I can see the data right now. So let's test it. So when I turn on signal inside the cobot, so it will appear on here. Here's a DI, DO, and I will try to use the DI. So we click new, then do it again. But this one, following this one, coin, and the starting bit is 40. So currently we have already assigned the DI on here. If we want to set the DI number 3 to be on, and you can see from the cobot that DI number 3 have already on. So this is a method that we can set the mapping address by using the MOSFET pole. And for this data, you can see that we also have the ASCII and RTU, even the PLC address that you can foreign with either Mitsubishi PLC, you can foreign this number also. And for when we want to tracking some data from the cobot, such as TCP position or something like this. So we need to read this one and need to know that if register data type is 432 and this one is input register read but not variable. So I come back here, then I use this one and input register and tracking. Okay, TCP 006. So you can see that the data has already come, but it's quite obvious that when we see the data, it should be a 4. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get this one, right hand, and then format, and then select 432, click enter. So right now you will see the data coming out. The first one will be X, Y, Z, RX, Y, Z, following this data. This is your TCP. Come back to, and for others, right, Ethernet IP, we also have the manual to use it also, but this is quite old. You can find the manual from the GitHub to use it. And this is a table for Ethernet IP also, or you can use this one. and following this one also. I will recommend you to following this one because this one will be updated from JAKA official headquarters. The next communication that I will recommend you to use it is a TCP protocol. What is the TCP protocol? Basically, if you have already learned the video before this video, you will know that when we using socket TCP, we want to open, and because as we want to open the socket to the cobot. From here, if you read to this manual, it will explain you why we need to open the socket to cobot with this port. So currently, if I try opening the socket to this, I will get the data all the time. So it will send to me, the data will send to me, and I can tracking this data and filter what data I need to use, and then I will keep it. And let's say if I connecting by this one, so when we connecting the cobot by using the port number 10,001 and with the cobot IP address, so you can see that we can command it from here. Even the shutting down the controller, disable the cobot, enable the cobot, something like this, we can do it. So the first thing, I will try to power on the robot first because currently it's still offing. You can observe by the light and then the word from here. So I will try to power on the cobot first. Power on the cobot it means supply the voltage to the cobot. It's on here, and I will send it. So from here we have already sent this word, this string to the cobot, and then we receive something is back. And let's check it out. Cobot have already Cobot have already power on, and then from now on we want to use this one, enable the robot. As you can see from here, it will enable the robot. And let's say if I want to move, such as move. Okay, so at this one I want to move the cobot. But this one you need to find the command that you can easily use. Okay, so that's when we want to get the data coming back, or we want to, okay, let's go back to the, okay, what I want to do. Okay, on this command, for let's say currently the cobot's position is in 0 or 0 degree, and then I will try to move the cobot. In this command, and then we let it try. So you can see that cobot will move following the position that I apply on here. If you want to change, such as this one is change to 90 and this one to -90, then after changing it, you can see that cobot is moving following what we want it to move. This is very useful when you integrating with HMI or PLC or IPC to make the whole system. So I would recommend you to come here and then see every command that you want to use. I will go next to first thing. Thing is the most important materials. So every time you deploy the cobot or you ship the cobot to end user customer, you need to give customer this manual. For this manual, what they said about the caution and the size of the bones to install or mount the cobot. And they also have the drawing, and they also explain you the I/O at the front panel. And please remember to give end user customer this manual. And I will go next to the user manual. From the user manual, the first thing, okay, you should lead to this manual getting the safety, the, the risk assessment, which is very important when you want to deploy the cobot. And need to know how to release the brake manually when we cannot power on the cobot. When we cannot power on the cobot, there is the button that we can open the cover and then push the button and the cobot can move, on that joint can move. I will go next. T position enabling device. T position enabling device is we call this one dead man switch. If you for the stage, you can separate into T stage. The first one will be release. If release, it will be positive cat 2. So it means the manual control should be off. And for state number 2 is press lightly. The robot state will be normal. So on this state, you can operate the cobot. So it means if you want to teaching the cobot and then you want to make safety, you need to enabling the T version input. And then after you enabling, you need to have the device with the tablet. Then when you want to control or operate the cobot, move to some position, you need to press it lightly. If you press it tightly, so it means the cobot will cannot be moved. And this is a quick start guide. So further from the manual that I inform you that you should give to end user customer every time you deploy or you ship your cobot, I will recommend you to give this hardware user manual also. So there's a manual how to even transportation. You also need to know how to transportation. For example, when you want to move the cobot to other place, you need to packing. You need to move the cobot to packing position, which is default post. Then the cobot will be like this, and then you when you want to move the cobot, you need to hold. Depend on the which model you want to move it. If Q3, then mean you can use only one people, but I will recommend you to use 2 person to move it. And for the technical specification, if customer asking you about the repeatability or the reach that cobot can going through it or the speed, and you can see when you decide which model you want to use with your project, right? So you can see that the Q3 speed is only 1.3 meter per second. Comparing it to 5 or to 7 is 3 meter per second, 2.5 meter per second. So it means it's totally different speed. You need to concern when you're using it. And for the IP protection, if you're using the normal 2 series, IP protection will be only 54. So please don't use 2 series with the hazardous environment such as the oil environment or the CNC machine. And Kinloom Class 5, we already support clean room card file into seriality. And for the cabinet, as you can see from here, we call the cabinet models. For Chu3 we call cap number 3, for Chu5 and Chu7 we call cap number 7, and for Chu12 and Chu18 we call cap 12. So you can see that it's a common cabinet. So it means if you use Chu5 and Chu7 and then you want to swap the cabinet, you also can swap the cabinet. And let's say if you have bigger model such as you have Chu12 and then if you also have the Chu3 and cap 3 is broken, you also can use cap 12 for Chu3 also. And please be informed that when you want to use the Profinet or Ethernet IP, you need to use 1.7 version only. Our length of the cobalt robot cable connecting to the controller is only 6 meters. If you want it longer, we can make it 10 meters, but you need to order special case. For the control stick, I believe that everyone who watching this video have already known how to use the control stick, but on here there is a description that you need to inform your end user customer when you transfer the code to customer place. And for this one our TIO, our tune IO, which we providing from here. As you can see, the currently version is version number 3. So if you using the version number 3, you can use the RS485. If you cannot use RS485, so it means you're using version number 2. And for the ITIO itself, it can select we want to configure to be PNP or NPN. And here are the method to doing the wiring with the TIO. And if you using the TIO, don't forget to turn on your IO on. Oh, I see, I cannot do it from here because I'm not connecting with the real cobot, so I cannot use the TIO right now. But let's say if you have the real robot with you and then you want to use the CIO, you need to activate it first. You need to turn on enabling the 24 voltage before you connecting or doing anything. And for the robot cable, here is a robot cable locker. Please lock the robot cable. Please lock the robot cable with locker every time you want to connect. And on here, please do not extend or modify our original cable. Otherwise, you will lose some signal between CAN and make the cobot hit. This issue is you need to concern about it. The working space, when you want to design the system, you need to understand the working space of the cobot that can reach to. I would aware you about this. When you're using the cobot, right, there is some position that cobot even very near to the cobot, but the cobot cannot reach to. You can see that from here. You can see the empty space around here. Even is very near, is close to the cobot, but cobot cannot move to it. We call this one, right, singularity. and each model. And for the cobot singularity, not only for what I explained you that cobot cannot move to some position near itself, because when we looking at here, when we want to move linear, to the cobot cobot body itself, you will cannot move it because the six joints will not accept you to move to the cobot. And this is another example for making the cobot singularity. The cobot singularity will appear and then sometimes it will appear as a cobot collision also. So you need to reset and then move the cobot back to normal stage. And on here is two thread and then it will make the elbow singularity. This one also. For the mounting, you need to understand that when you mounting overhead mount, you need to set setting from your controller before enable the cobot. And here the size, and here is a size drawing of the infant of each model. And here's a maximum payload graph that I have already explained. I will need to inform you first, when you deploy the cobot at customer side, you need to make sure that your customer have already indicate these two. The first one that's very important is an emergency stop wiring. You need to, because when you get the cobot from default factory, you get cobot new brand new cobot. This port will have the jumper to connect it, and this one you also need to connect for being the protective stop. Protective stop will make the cobot cannot move, but still occurring the enabling cobot. So it means it can move after we release the protective stop, but for the emergency stop, it will cut the power to the cobot immediately. And here's a method how we connect wiring. When you're using the RS485, I will recommend you to use the resistance also to concept the signal from your device to the cobot. You can see that we putting the resistance around here. For the bottom port, this is a bottom top panel interface. On here, the most important thing is number one, because this one is a LAN port number two, so this one will be the dynamic IP address usage, which I will recommend you all to use this port LAN cable for doing everything. And please do not connect the port LAN cable at the front of the cabinet. And here's a rated value for doing for specification of each region. And is power consumption, everything, transportation, maintenance. And for the storage condition, after you purchasing purchase after you buy the cobot, you need to storage it. So please make sure that the temperature is not exceed 50 degrees Celsius. Okay, and Continuing from the Ju series hardware user manual, I will explain you more regarding the minicap hardware user manual for someone who using the minicap. Right now, you will observe that the size is very small comparing to the standard cabinet. The first thing that you need to ensure about it is the safety. So please read through the safety in here first before you using it. And the emergency stop button that we have provided on here. When you want to use it, you need to make a wiring between the emergency stop button of the cobot with the your system. And I will go next to the control stick normal to the mounting method. For to the mounting method, we not recommend you put the kneecap light on the ground. So we recommend you to put the main cap attached on the some plate, and then some plate will attach like this, not on the ground. Then you install it. So why we need to install this, because when we use a mini cap, it's very small. We need to use air to fold and make the mini cap colder. So every time you install the mini cap, you need to make sure that you spend enough for folding the air around the mini cap. And the most important thing that some customer might face the issue in the future if they connecting it wrong. The first thing will be the voltage at the voltage that we supply. So you should not connect the voltage such as it should be ground or it should be 0 voltage, but you connect with the 48 or 24 voltage. So please be careful when you want to connect with the power supply. And when you want to use I/O, as you may know, the I/O inside the minicap can be adjustable. So it means some I/O for the user I/O it can be input or output depending on you, but all will be the NPN type. NPN type you need to be careful when you connecting it. You need to make sure that when you connecting it, the high will be the 0, you need to input 0 voltage, you need to input. So basically when the command from here, basically if you using the PN command will be 0 voltage, but we're using the minicap which is being the NPN, so the command will be 24 voltage. Please be careful about this. This is what I told you, that you should not connect it wrong between ground, VP and VOut. And when you connecting the minicap, before you power on to the quad, you need to changing the voltage, making voltage resistance around here first. So the first thing you need to change is this. For example, if you using the mini cable, which is require 24 voltage until 36 voltage. Why I said that 36 voltage? Because the default voltage that we supplied from JAKA is 24 voltage. But if you want the mini cable to move it faster, then you need to purchase the 36 voltage power supply by yourself. So for this one, we recommend Inwell's plan for doing it. And after you know how many voltage you supply to the cobot, and you need to pass 3. For example, if you're using the Ju series, so it's Ju series is require 48 voltage. So it means we need to pass 48 plus 3, so it become 51, which is from the manual showing 51 voltage. And for this one, you should assign 39 voltage. And you need to assign 27 voltage before you power on to the cobot. Here, I will go next to the robotic catalog. From the robotic catalog, when you want to set up the exhibition or you want to print out, you can download from our Google Drive. So here is an explanation of our beginning of the company, and there are many models that you can lead to this one. What is the difference between JAKA S series, Pro series, all-in-one series, and 2 series? And every time you need to make sure that if you want to purchase all-in-one series, it will come with minicap only. So if you want to purchase camera, which we provide with the all-in-one series, but using the cabinet, so it means you need to order 2 series with lens 2D, not all-in-one series. And when you purchase all-in-one series, which come with minicap, for 2 series we will not provide any power supply to you, so you need to find the power supply by yourself. Power supply converting from 220 volt VAC to 48 V DC. For the Mini Combo is only the one product that we will provide the power supply accordingly with minicap. And for the next product will be JAKA lens 2D. If end user customer ask you how many resolution of the lens 2D, you can say from here is 5 million pixel, and what is the max frame rate or everything. And when you want to purchase the lens 2D, you need to ensure that which lens you want to use, because we have two lens, 8mm for picking pace for and 16mm for QC application. This one is lens replace JAKA control cabinet. Okay, I will go next. To here. So we will talk about the JAKA tools software that we typically use. The first one will be the software introduction, VM installation with SCP and PuTTY JAKA, so upper monitor, module introduction, socket testing software, and multimeter operation. The first one, when you using the JAKA app, whether you using inside the Android or use inside the computer, so we call JAKA app the software inside your device, we call JAKA app. And then inside your device, right, we also have many software such as the JAKA monitor, servo upper monitor with SCP, PuTTY, and WPFF. We call this one toolkit and CAN tools for doing the troubleshooting when the cobot having some error coming out. And for the controller itself, if you want to test the modbus communication, we also have the modbus Pro that I already informed you all assistant that I have already shown you how to use it in the app video training. And for the cobot itself, we also be a partner with the Robotic, which you can purchase the license from them and then using it to do the simulation, to do the integration and sending to your end user customer. And VMware and VirtualBox both are the same thing to make the cobot simulation at your computer, inside your computer. And this one is the tools for your deeper and software. Let me go the first things. The first one that I will inform you will be the toolkit. Why this software is very important? Because when you cannot connect with the cobot, you need to doing a backup really quickly, or you need to upload thing, or you need to check the system information, you need to use this software to sometimes to pin the memory, reset the password, or check the memory, check the USB 3 in system information, what's the current version, and from here you also can do the backup. For the VM installation, I will not explain you because currently we didn't use it anymore. We using the Oracle VMware that I have already explained you how to install and make your virtual cobot in your PC in the video before. So I will brief introduction of the function of the upper monitor. So basically we have the function to first thing we will update the servo. We also can upgrade things from JAKA app. We also can updating from servo upper monitor, can message, leading, and production function, calibration of TH parameter, PID parameter setting, servo debugging mode, waveform display. This one very useful to do it to troubleshooting and fault resolution, fault diagnostic file investigating, SCP data monitoring, such as when we want to change some PID, because sometimes when you using the cobot for a long time, you will face some error when cobot is checking at the low speed and linear checking. So it means that our PID is not correct. So we need to try to increase or try to change the parameter inside here. And after we change, we also need to change the parameter 1013 parameter to be 124. And on here, if you quite get used to using the servo upper monitor already, inside here we also have the debugging mode that you can try to control the cobot motor separately for each joint. And here is way to reading the data inside. If we have the special tools, we also can tracking the real-time monitoring of the data from the motor also. You close this one and it comes on here on this one. So the next one will be the medical setup. Further L1, further number 2 medical setting up instruction. From here we'll explain you how we gonna mount the cobot, and we'll inform you what is the drawing site which you need to make the base by yourself, and if you want to make the end fan, we also can provide it from here. So when you supply the cobot to end user customer, don't forget to supply the drawing of the end fan. Perhaps they want to make the keeper by themselves or doing things by themselves. You need to ensure that the minicap is not compatible with the Pro 16 or 220 for now. So it means for the 220 or Pro 16 you can use only the cabinet. And here method is a hardware overview that you need to connect, but this one I believe that you all have already known how to connect it, because this video will provide it only for the partner. And here's what cable and what base nothing. For I will talk with you about this one. Basically we have the Wi-Fi router inside our cabinet, but let's say if you want to increase the Wi-Fi signal, so you need to install the router, and then you put LAN cable to the router, and then you can extend the Wi-Fi signal. So it means it's very useful when you using this one in the exhibition, because in the exhibition there are lots of noise that affect with our Wi-Fi cobot. So it means when you're using with the exhibition, I will recommend you to use the router. Here's the two connections. So here's a hardware overview for the two connection. For this one, basically, if you want to connect many things by LAN cable at the bottom port, you need to have the PoE hub or LAN hub for connecting with it. Otherwise, when you want to connect, it will not be connect, because when you want to connect PC with the cabinet, if you don't want to use Wi-Fi and you want to make it stable, so you better use the LAN cable. And here's a joint separating. So this is the dimension and working space that you might need to know when you design. And actually, I have already explained this one inside the JAKA through hardware user manual. And here's a robot component overview. As you can see from your right hand side, this is old version of the cabinet. Perhaps you never see it before. This is cap version 1.0, and our version currently right now is 2.1. And I would like to inform you about this one. I will say about this one. So it's a robot calibration position. When you want to do the calibration after replacing the joint, or you want to, when you lost some position, but only when you losing some position, so it means there is an issue happen with the cobot. So it means you need to recalibration again. So when you want to recalibration, you need to come to open post inside the app on here. Open post inside the app, and then the cobot will, after move to the point up, the cobot will stand still, and then you can try to repair the joint by using this position. And later, after you finish repairing, then you do come here to calibrate. And for the mini cobot, it's very lucky that we have the manifold zero post like label mark. So it means you, when you want to replace the joint, you can come to the open post. So and then you will see the line mark is already correct. But for the zoo series, you need to come to open post and attach the align mark before you replace it. Or when you want to shipping the cobot to customer, you should have the align mark attached at the cobot before you shipping to customer. So when the issue happen, then you want to calibrate it, you can find the align mark and move to that position easily. And here is a data of the DH parameter. I will not talk about it because we will not use it for now. And here is a synchronous type that we already explained inside the JAKA user manual. And on here is very important. So when you want to change some joint limit on here, when you change some joint limit on here, you need to understand that every time you reboot it, the joint will change it back to the normal one. So it means if you want to change the joint in latest version, you need to inform JAKA technical person same as me. So I will support you how to change permanently. And when you using the JAKA, you understand that there are no gap for inserting the air pipe inside the cobot body. So it means you need to attach outside the cobot body. And here is a we call this one cable wrap. Cable wrap is another product that we also sell. Also, when you want to use the cable wrap to attach or doing some like this, to make it like this. So you can see that you will we call this one cable management. And the most important thing when you doing application of painting application, you need to have coating. So the coating will protect cobalt from the dust or the paint that may attach with the cobalt. So you can use this one, we call it one cobalt jacket. So here's a customized accessory. So from here is a how many days we need to use for customize things. So I have already informed you already the robot cable can customize to be 10 meters is the longest that the can data acceptable. Basic electronic instruction. For this material, we will talk about the electrical part inside controller and robot itself. So first of all, we will go to the minicap and cabinet introduction. For this one, the first one is a specification of each product. The first one will be the cabinet, the standard cabinet, the standard controller that we call the way is here, and you can see that cap 3, cap 5, 7, cap 12, 18, 16. What is the meaning of this one? So the first one, the cap 3 is for 2, 3, and cap 5 or cap 7 is for 2, 5 and 2, 7. But basically, we will use the cap 7, and the final one, cap 12, will be the 2, 12, 18, and 16. So this one is depending on the model that you're using. Here is a site, and the most important thing that when you're using it, you need to understand that when you plug the power, it should be 100 until 240 VAC, and the IP protection is only 44. And for the I/O itself, for the digital input output, we have the 16 input output, and most important thing is a PNP type and 2 analog input output. And when we trigger the I/O going on, so from here, our maximum the current that we can provide is only 1 amp. So from from the minicap side, as you can see, the first one that voltage that we need to supply is 30 until 60 voltage. Actually, this one is 24. And from here is a weight. As you can see, the weight between the standard cabinet and the minicap is totally different. And IP protection for minicap is only 20, and for the minicap itself, there are 7 NPN digital input output. So this I/O can be configurable, so you can select which port you want to use as an input and which port you want to use as output. I will go next. When you're using the minicap, you need to ensure that you have verified the power supply for connecting with it, because when you order the 2 series, the AI series with the minicap one, so the minicap will not, when you order the minicap, we will not provide you the power supply, so it means you need to find it by yourself. When you're using it, you need to see the peak power and then use it as reference. For example, Q3 is using the 1000, so it means you need to find the power supply for using with Q3 around 1000. And for the actually this you can refer to this table for 25 and 27 using around 2000, so you need to find ISP 1048 voltage, two box, two pieces for this one, and connecting as parallel, so it will generate 2000 watt to you. And here's a cabinet electric diagram from inside. When okay, the first one, when you apply the 220 VAC input, and then it will go to PDU board. PDU board is power delivery unit to distribute the voltage to other part. For example, the main power. So here is a AC DC buck 48 voltage power supply. So it will converting 220 VAC to 48 voltage, and 48 voltage will connect to the cobot. And coming from here, another side, there is another AC to DC converter. So on here is a 24, 12, and 5 voltage power module. So each voltage have the specific duty for example, the 24 voltage is need to be connecting with I/O, and 12 and 5 voltage need to connecting with the IDC and SCB board. So sometimes if this board, this logic power supply is broken, so you cannot boot up the controller because there is no power supply in your controller. And the next one will be the minicap. For the minicap, when you supplying the 48 voltage or 24 voltage input, so the first one you see the delay for controlling it, and DC MCU. On here we'll see the DC to DC. This one is converting to the low voltage, such as 12 volts or 5 volts, then going to MCU and IPC, and this one will connect with CAN. We are connecting the remote by CAN data. And on here when you want to power on the cobot, so it means it will trigger the relay and emitter and break circuit and provide the voltage to the robot. On here is only the electronic basic knowledge. From here, what it is called? So, I see. From here is only the basic knowledge such as AC, UVW, line neutral, ground, something like this, or DC minus V plus 0 voltage and ground. What is a rectifier? What is an inverter? And what is a filter? Something like this. And here is a switching, power supply, AC to DC transform, DC to DC transform, regulation transformer. So from here, I believe that you all know about this device and know how to use it and what is the purpose of each device. We go through the NPN and PNP. So basically, when we using the AVD electrical device, when we want to connect with the cobot, we need to ensure that when using the standard cabinet, you have already used the PNT. Otherwise, you need to use the relay to connect it with it if your device is NPN. Maybe. So we go next to common accessory. So for this one is a common accessory that you need to know when you want to making the whole application, such as the PLC, AGV encoder, or base button switch gear sensor lighting, relay, and remote I/O. If the I/O insufficient, safety relay, emergency button, 2 3D gripper, electronic valve, and cabinet connection. From here we have already know. I believe we have already know the report for how to using these two cabinet type by reading the user manual already. So I will go quickly with it. So the first one, when we want to powering on the controller without using the remote stick, how we can do it. The first one, if you're using the minicap, so you need to use the external power supply 24 voltage and then provide the voltage to 8 and number 6. After you provide 24 voltage, the controller will automatically boot up by itself. The same thing with the standard cabinet. If you want to powering on without using the remote stick, you also can do it. By basically you will see the jumper putting on here, and then you remove the jumper and you supply the 24 voltage to the on port, this port, and then 0 to here, and then will be the circuit, and the controller will automatically boot up. For the emergency stop, for the first one, the minicap, we have already provide you the minicap port, the emergency port from here, so you can easily wiring. The same thing with the standard cabinet. Currently, we have the emergency 1 and 2, so you can unplug the jumper and then you connecting your safety for connecting it. And this one is for protective stop SIS. This is a method how we connecting with the load, such as the button or the signal. When you're using the analog or the IS485 unit, for recommendation, you need to connecting with the 120 resistance ohm resistance. Also, because sometimes if you didn't connect with the resistance, you will not found your device. Here is how to connect it. So from this page, it's telling you how to connect with the high-speed interface inside our standard controller cabinet. From here, if you want to use the encoder for conveyor tagging, so you need to connecting by using the encoder and using this image as reference. And for this page is how to extend the I/O by using the IS485 MOSFET RTU. From here, when you're using the digital input output, you can see that we have only 16 input and 16 output. If you want to have it more, then you can use the expansion board for connecting it. You need to connect by user IS485 on here, A and B, and supply the voltage 24 and 0 on here, and then you need to use your app inside and then extend the controller modules, and then you will see expansion of right here. So if this board can use with analog input, you also can use and see with it by using IS485. And here is a method for minicap, how to extend the IS485 to another expansion board. And for the TIO wiring application, for this one, when you're using the TIO, you need to make sure that you're using the version number 3. Version number 3 will accept IS485, but if you're using the version number 2, it will be only NPN. So you on this version, you cannot select which port you want to be PNP or NPN, or which port you want to make it like analog or IS485. The cobot that released later than probably around probably around June of 2023 will all be version number 3. And here is a example for the DH keeper, how to control with it. Actually, this one is for another for application, how to use the mousepad RTU at the TIO for commanding the keeper. And here is a cable and customize option. So when you want to order longer cable or order any part, such as you want to connect with the minicap but you don't have this part, then you can order this one separately. And last but not least, for this material cable and customize option, for this one will be the when you want to don't have the remote stick. So if you don't have the remote stick, how you gonna make it running? Because the remote stick, right, when you didn't have it, we will show the emergency stop button connecting all the time because we don't have the signal wiring on here. E stop channel 1, E stop channel 2. So these two 5 and 6 port need to be connected all the time. For the minicap itself, you also need to connect all the time, but this one is quite hard to find. You need to find it online. But this one you can use your wiring and jump it. If you prefer to order this bypass, you can contact to your regional BD. For this material, I will teach you how to connect the expansion board with our standard cabinet and minicap. For the first one, when you already purchased the expansion board for extend our digital input output. For example, from here, you can see that currently we have the 16 input output. And here is a symbol L low level, high H is high, and 24 is 24 voltage. If you zoom inside, you will see the letter. And here is a preparation for the cabinet. So the first thing that you need to have the connection cable, more than 4 wire connection, and the expansion board. Actually, this one is real, so you can search the part number inside the website, and then you can buy it and connecting with your. The first one that very important is you need to supply the power to the expansion board. So from here you can see the VCC and ground. So VCC and ground you also can connect with our V plus and V minus. So from here when you connecting with it, okay, so V plus is on here, V minus is here. After you connecting with this port, and then you connect to A and B. If you zoom inside, you will see A and B here. And for the A and B, you need to connect by using 5 and 6 on here, 4F5 port number 7. If you zoom inside, you will see the 4F5A and 4F5B. Sometimes if you cannot connect it, so please try to swap this one between A and B. And here is a hot wiring connection method for the minicap. So the first one, okay, you need to supply the voltage. So we are using the port, the pin 1346. 1346 is mean ground and 24 voltage output. So from the recommendation, so it advises you to connecting the number 1 with the one is with this button and this 4 with this button. on here A and B, you also connecting from 17 and 18. And here's a required software that we need to use. The first one will be the app. So when you're using this one, okay, you make sure that you didn't power on or enable the code yet. And then after you connect it inside, from here, and here, JAKA to admin. And then you come to the IO, and then you click on here, add, click add on here. I will go zoom inside. You will see add, and on add you can type down your butlet or data bit range and parity method. From here, how did you know that which which configuration you need to use? So from here you need to checking from your device, such as we are connecting with this one. So from this is why we can setting same as here, and after we successful setting, you see the indicator key on here. And basically when you purchase the device that require MOSFET TCP or MOSFET RTU, you need to have this one also, the table of configuration for such as if you want to use the bus select for configuration 9600 or something, or the default is 9600, and the channel, and on here is what we require, channel 16, which is the starting bit address that you need to use. This is very important also. For example, how can we know that it's coming starting from 0 and how coming starting from 0? It need to confirm by this one. And here is some example. If you have your analog here, then you also can adjust. And here is a user manual. So for this data, someone might not understand what is going on because you have not read the manual for this one yet. For the next chapter, it will be L10 for basic JAKA to programming app. But for this one, we have already explained you how to use the JAKA app and how to do programming already. So for this chapter, I will provide you the much more detail about the application. So starting from the first example, column schooling, diving state workstation. Every time you want to deploy the cobot station to customer, you need to understand that when you deploy it, it should come with a manual, so customer can read it and then can understand it, what they can do with it. For example, the part when you sell the whole solution to customer, so it means you need to have the specific part name or quantity, how many pieces that we provide. And from here is an example of the cobot schooling application on the column. So it's explaining about the JAKA itself. This one you can copy ours. And what is when you top code button indicator, from here you also can copy from us. But this one you need to find by yourself automatically. It called school driving system. So how we can do it, or how we can build this working station. And this is workflow cobot startup flowchart. And the connector button. And here's method how to use a remote stick. See the indicator. Here method how to use the JAKA. Here's a specification. So On here, it's very important that you provide customer common faults and troubleshooting information, such as when you want to replace the pad or there is a can communication error interrupt something, how you gonna let your end user customer do it. And here's a program and touchscreen display, so it's totally depending on you how you make your HMI. I think that's all for user manual, and actually there are more than car lamp school driving station. For this one when we go to the MOSFET material again. So just now I have already explained you about the how to extend the MOSFET extension board. For this device is also another device, another brand that you also can use with it. And on here you can see that there is inside the manual there is a table registration address that we need to use with. For example, it's 01, it's 02, something like channel 1, channel 2. And here is a test software which we don't have it, but you also can use it if you 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 can try using with our JAKA port. So on here is a manual how to use it. I will skip this one. And on here is a spec reference comparing with our competitors such as UR or TechMan. On here is will inform you about advantage or disadvantage between our competitor. So let's see our competitor. So the first payload is 3, 5, 12.5 something, and the ranking of 7 kg. And the repeatability, so as you can see from here, the repeatability is lower than us because we can make it 20 micron and they can make it 30 micron. Okay, and we go next. So this one is security zone setting. Security zone setting. This one I will form. And here the software that you need to know how to use. The first one I have already teach you inside the JAKA app training video, which is the net assist software. On here you can use to make your laptop being master or being the client for connecting with the master. Also, if you making your laptop being your master, you also can open it being like this. And Hercules is also another software that you can use. It is the same with the NetAssist. You can test, you can doing server, everything from here. And data management. On here there is a actually there is an example that you need to try to make it by yourself. Oh, not here. For example, I have the so let's say if I want only XYZ value, how we can use the JAKA app to get it. So this one is another thing that you need to concern when you want to use JAKA with the camera or socket TCP communication. We go next to here. Here's an example, the skip user manual for someone who doesn't like the JAKA graphical programming, you also can use this one following this manual. So as you can see from here, it's very quite similar to Python language. And in here, you also can disable speed override or enable speed override within disable conveyor threading or something like this. It's it's quite similar to graphical programming, but it's loading on the hard code. I will go next to the next chapter. The first of the maintenance part will be the software. The first thing that you need to know when you're using the JAKA app is the software. After you connecting with the cobot, or even you have not connected with the cobot, you will see the controller software appear. If you connecting the Wi-Fi and then turn off your firewall, everything, and if you can see the cobot here, and then you will see the version of the controller version here first, and then you can decide which version of app you can use for asset with it. Because when you're using the controller version, you need to use the similar compatible version for asset inside. For example, currently having, as you can see, I having many versions appear on here. 1.4, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5.14. For example, I want to connecting with the 1.5.13 something like that. So I have already checked inside that, okay, if the controller, my controller is 1.5, 1.4, 1.3, and then I also can use this app for connecting inside here. And this is what you need to install at your PC first, and then you can connecting inside. And if you going out from here, when we this a folder that we typically send to our partner at hosted. For example, PSCB is for minicap, SCB is for standard cabinet. For on here, you can see that if you using the standard cabinet, you see SCB is 0 to 70. 0 to 70 is quite new, so you will not see from here. So it's okay. This one is only 66. And for the servo itself, you also can separate it for mini combo and Juicy and Pro series is another servo files. So when you're using the which cobot model and which controller, you need to update separately with specific software. But the first thing that you need to know is a controller software. The first one you have already know from here, and then you can select the app for asset inside. After you can asset inside, then you can update it, and then you can update it. But when you want to update it, there is a thing that you cannot do it. It's a SCP version. On here is a SCP version. When you want to update, you need to make sure that your SCP version is more than 0 to underscore 50. On here, I will go to specific SCP version again. On here, I will go back to this one first. Here's a software update flow. The first one, you need to, after you unpack the controller, you need to confirm first before you ship out to end user customer that this is the version that you need to use it. For example, for currently the default version coming from factory is still be 1.5, but 1.5 version you cannot use the multi-thread or multi-thread. Yes, you cannot use the multi-thread function inside the JAKA app. So it means if customer want the latest version, so you need to update it. So you first thing when you want to update controller, then you update it first. After you upgrade the controller, you also need to find the compatible app for connecting with the controller, right? So you need to install the new app. Also, after you install the new app, so you need to make sure that SCP or PSCP is required or not. So you can check the compatible version in the same folder, and here, if the version is correct or not. Okay, if the version is correct, then you can upgrade. But before you upgrading, you need to check the transit version required or not. The transit version required on very old controller such as the 2022. So you need to upgrade it and upgrade the transit version first, then going to upgrade the target version. Last but not least, you need to update the server or not. If you need to update the server, then you need to update it. But what I do typically, I will update it all at the same compatible folder, software in the same folder. For example, I check in on here is a 1.5, so I will use the 1.5 asset inside and then upgrading to the latest one such as the 1.7.1, and then I will update it all to the new versions. And before upgrading to the latest version, I recommend you checking from here first. When you're using the controller version, right, you will see the x86 on here or x64. So it means if you are using the x86, you cannot upgrade to the latest version right now. If you using the x86, which means your controller version is quite old, then please contact your BD or contact your regional serviceman. So the next step will be the controller update. So when you're using the controller, here's the method how to update. After we asset inside and then we come to update controller, it's a UI for 1.4. I believe no one is using it anymore, and this one is a UI for 1.5. You can see that there's an update firmware, there's an update controller. So you come to update controller and then you select this one, select this button, and then you select the file here, and then you select this one to update. And after updating, you need to wait. You need to wait around 10 minutes, 5 until 10 minutes. It will reboot itself. The controller will reboot itself. And here's a notice that which version you cannot upgrade to. The next thing, okay, is an app version inside your PC. So when you're using the app version, you need to make sure that your window is 64-bit or 32-bit. But I believe that no one using 32-bit anymore, so you can use this one, 64-bit, install to your PC and then use it. And you can check your architecture bit inside your PC right here. After you finish installing it, please make the app being the admin run administrator every time when you want to use it. And here's a method how to updating the SCP. When you want to updating the SCP, the version that you need to concern is version that lower than 02_00 with this version, or for PSCP, and for SCP is 02_50 for SCP. So it's very important thing that when you updating the low version of the SCP, you need to updating to the transit version first. So from here for the SCP, you need to updating to the 61 first. From lower version to the 61, then you can upgrade to the latest version. Otherwise, it will burn your SCP board and then you cannot boot up the controller. Here the same thing with PCB board. When you want to upgrading from the old version, you need to upgrading to 0 to 01 first, and then upgrading to the target version. And SCP and PCB update from here. From here, you can actually you can check which version you want to upgrade to, and then can following this for to upgrading it. I will connect to the server version. From here, if you are using the version 1.5, you need to use the update firmware for updating it. But if you're using the 1.7, you can use the firmware for updating it. And when you're using this one, you need to make sure that your cobalt is mini cobalt or juicy and OCD or not. And from here we have another type that we typically sell only in China, Su 710. Okay, currently we are in chapter L1 underscore 0.6 joint replacement. So for this chapter, we will talk about how to replace the joint of JAKA itself, JAKA cobalt. From here, the first one will be the joint data table. When you want to, our advantage point of using the JAKA cobalt is for sparing part. When we using the JAKA cobalt, we can use the same common path such as we using the 212. As you can see from here, joint number 1, joint number 2, joint number 3 is the same side. So it means you can purchase only one side of the cobalt of the joint for spare part, and then for joint number 4, 5, 6, and then you can purchase only side number 17 for doing the spare part. So the first one will be the for this material we will talk about joint replacement. Here is the L1 underscore 06. For the joint replacement, we will talk about tools, data, joint internal structures, step-by-step procedure in operation and calibration notice. So from here is all tools that you need to use, but for some tools such as the number 13, you don't need to use it when you replace joint. So we will talk about joint type first. For the joint type, as you may know, our JAKA by the 212, there are common joints that they can swap together. For example, we can swap joint 1 to joint 3 or joint 2 to joint 3 because the size of the joint is common. So the size of the joint is 32, and for the joint 5, 4, and 6 is 17, so you also can swap with it. It means when you want to spare the joint at your stock, so you can spare part, keep the stock spare part only two sides of the joint, and then it can cover it all. Here is a talk needed after you replace the joint. So for each model, they have the different talk that you need to type on it. For example, if you using if you replacing the joint 6, so it means you require 2.4 Newton needed to torque the joint. And we come on here, joint internal structure. If you open the cover, you will see this device, this this part inside your joint. For the first one is a called flexible plate. Flexible plate to lock the cable, everything between this joint and the PCBA board. PCB or server board. And this one we call absolute encoder unit, ABS encoder. So ABS encoder will be attached on here, and after you looking down, you will see the brake mechanism. And between brake mechanism, you will see the incremental encoder unit. For this one, we call ABC encoder. I will write down on here. For the next one, we call joint housing and motor reducer. So when we replace the joint, so it means we replace the whole joint. If you are in level 2, you will know how to replace the part until incremental encoder. For motor and reducer, basically we will not replace it. The first part, this is the outer part of the joint. You can see cover on here. For someone who have experiently moved a cover before, you see the sticker attached on the bone. So for the sticker attached on the bone, you don't need to care. You can remove it when you want to repair the joint. And here is a flexible plate. You can see that it's fixed the the board, and you need to use the Loctite to fit the cable on here. This is called absolute encoder unit. On the absolute encoder unit, you see the FPC cable that connecting with your server board. And here is your server board, PCBA. In this one, you can see right back this on here, or the white this on here. So is a incremental encoder unit. And this one is a brake mechanism. When you replace the brake mechanism or electromagnetic brake, you can see that there is a spring inside here. Please watch out to lose it. There is a spring inside here when you replace. What you need to do is just remove 2 bolts on here, and then you can use your twister and then drag it out, and you will see this part, and this part. And this one we call brake pin. Here is joint housing. On the joint housing, you will see the UVW cable from motor. And here's a cable and LED. So for the cable, the left one is a 48 voltage. For the back one is a 0 voltage. When you want to connect with the server board, there is a markdown what voltage you need to connect with. You cannot swap with it, otherwise you will burn the motor and server board. I will go back to this page to explain you each by each part, what the purpose of each part. For the first one, flexible plate, I have already explained you to lock the part inside, such that you need to use the Loctite to lock the cable. For the absolute encoder unit is for the tracking position of the joint. This one is for PCBA for counting all data. So to operate the joint, you need to use the driver board. So here is a driver board on here. And this one is for tracking speed, pulse of motor. So it means because we have two encoder types on here, when we want to calibrate, we also need to calibrate two encoder. We will talk about how to calibrate later. And for this part is a brake mechanism, yes, to stop the joy from moving. And this one is joy housing, motor, and reducer. For the example, they are replacing the 2-3 joy number 3. When replacing, you need to note down the position of the servo first. And then when you want to replace, you need to move the cobot to the open post or only to the position the joint need to be calibrated. Such as we are replacing the 2-3, we need to rotate the 2-3 to be 0 degrees, same as open post. So it means sometimes if we cannot move the joint, so you need to move it manually by hand. Actually, for this one, before you removing it, attach the line mark on the joint, so we can know which degree is 0 degree. And on here, after we moving to that that position, and then we power off the controller, and then we remove the joint. After we remove the cover joint, and then you will see the power cable, then you remove it. But on here is very important that after you remove the cover of the joint, you need to take a picture first. So when you assemble it back, you will know how to wiring the cable. So after you take a picture, and then you remove the cable out, and also remove the rubber washer. Rubber washer is here. You can see the rubber washer is here. And then you remove the rubber on here also, and then remove the bone. When you unscrew it, be careful to unscrew at opposite side. And then we remove the cable top by copper and pull it out. When you removing you you may see the O-ring is here. So basically when we remove the joint, you get the new O-ring also. And slowly remove the cable, because when we pull it out, you can see that there is cable on here, the cable that align with the joint. So you need to pull it out from this direction. After you pull it out, you will see this one. And on here review the bone of the bottom of joint. On here because we need to replace the joint, so that's why we need to remove another side of joint. So then we unwrap this elastic, and then we unbuild the bone. And after we clean up, and then we have the new joint. And as you can see from here, there is a line mark point from here. And when you repair the joint, the technique to repair the joint, you don't need to reduce loosen it too much, otherwise your bone will going out. So you remove until it can rotate, until the joint can rotate. Then we mounting it back. Then we following this one to mounting it back. So you need to tie on here first. Tie. And then restore the cable and fix it with cable tie. And when you repair the joint, you need to make sure that the tip switch on the servo board have changed to be the joint that you repair, such as you repair the joint number 3. So you need to pointing on joint number 3 on here. Here is a hardware part replacement. So coming to the software part, the software that you need to use, there is two software on here. The first one is JAKA app that we know, and another one is servo upper monitor. For this software, you may not have it, and you can request for getting it. After you getting this one, the first thing that you need to use, you need to connect the JAKA. You need to connect the JAKA by going inside here. Going inside by JAKA hidden page. I will show you how to go inside the JAKA hidden. Okay, from here, here's a maintenance interface operation. So when you want to go inside the JAKA app hidden interface, what does that mean? So after you connect the cobot, then you select on here 10 times, click at the logo 10 times, and then this this password need to be filled, will pop up, and then you need to assign JAKA missing big character inside here, and then you can asset inside. After you can asset inside, you see the release page type. So this one, the first page that you can release the page. When you want to release page, you need to ensure that your cobot has already power on. Otherwise, you not have the power to supply to the page, so it will be released. And on here you can see that when you release a bed, for the hour joint, when you want to release the bed, you need to hold it first, then you need to try rotate a little after releasing the bed. After you click here and then you try to rotate, and if you want to lock the bed, you select resume bed band bed type. Here's a multi-turn value. After you replacing the joint, sometimes you will see the degree of value is very abnormal, such as the joint G that we are replacing right now from the example. Perhaps it become 2000 something or 1000 something, so you can turn it down to be normal, such that we are moving to 0 degree, so it should be around 0 degree. The next page will be the joint calibration. So as I said, when we want to calibrate the encoder, the ABS encoder, so this one you need to move this one is open post, and then after we repair the joint, you need to use this bit to calibrate ABS encoder. And if you going to the servo debugging page, you will see this one, servo debugging page. After you going to servo debugging page, then you click enter on enter debugging. After you select enter debugging, you need to you need to wait until the cobot power on itself. You will hear the sound. You will hear the sound. You will hear the sound beep, and then you can use your servo upper meter can connect inside. But before you going to this one, please ensure that your cobot has already disabled. And then after you can come to the servo upper meter, then you can use this one to connect with it. This application. So from this one, as you can see, we can assign the robot IP address that we are connecting right now. So as that we are connecting by Wi-Fi, so it will be 1.5.1. If we are connecting by LAN cable, which I recommend you to connect by LAN cable, normally you can connect by like this. Then you, after the P sound coming out, and then you see the cobot battery supply the power. You can see the indicator light on the joysticks. Then you can select connect. After you select connect, you can modify the parameter inside. But from here, what they what our what our procedure is, you come to produce, come to this one produce, and then you select lead cannot select light, only lead that you can select. After you select lead, the parameter will showing on here a parameter of the joy, because inside the server joy also have the memory that keep the parameter inside on here. So when you get a new joy, the first thing that you need to do is the first thing that we need to do is how to say, input the correct robot serial number on here. So you input the robot serial number on here, this one. Then you click set on here, and then now we will going to, but actually before we repair the joint, I will recommend you to do this first. Basically from the manual, it's recommend you to do almost end of the procedure, but on here 1005 invalid DH parameter. Before you repair the joint, I will recommend you to coming on this page 1005 DH parameter. So on here when success you want to replace joint number 3, then you, before replacing, you come to this page first, and then you invalid DH parameter in every joint, not only joint 3 but in every joint. So it will be joint 1, and then you put it disable, joint 2, and then you put it disable until joint 6, and then you put it disable. After you click on here, so first thing that you need to do, because we want to read only this line, then you click reselect. And if you want to write the parameter inside, then you click right select. Never select this one, never select right parameter. So what you need to do, you just only right select on here, and then change to be disabled in every joint, and then deselect, and then deselect, and then right select. Backing from after you finish putting right select on 0555, then we come back on here. Oh, I already close it. From okay, for this, after you finish put every joint disable, and then you can start replacing the joint by moving to the open port first. So after we have already assigned the serial number of the cobot inside that joint, and then we want to set the joint magnetic zero position. So we are calibrating the ABS encoder. So from here, as you can see, the joint 3 is 0 degree. So after we move to this position, and then we select joint calibration. But when you want to do the joint calibration, you need to enable and move to this position first. So please make sure that when you replacing the joint, you have some reference point that you can align with, such as you teach to some point. This is very important when you want to replace the joint. For example, clearly for example, we attach the keeper. the keeper on here, and here is the joint. So when you need to find some sharp point to teach it first, because after you replace the joint, right, the cobot will rotate a little, will change the position after you calibrate it. So you need to align it back. For example, it will become like this. You can see the different degree on here. So what we want to do after we calibrating it, we want to return the correct value. So it means we need to align, have a reference point to align with, and then we can return to the correct value. For from here, how can you know that is which degree that you need to align with? You cannot know. You need to use the stepping and then use your joint on here. So on here we will provide you the degree. On here you provide you the degree that you need to offset it back. So the first thing that we need to do, wait a second. So for example, we need to use the step by step to, for example, we have in this one. Okay, this one is your reference point, and then assume that we have the in keeper on here to point with for being the reference point and then for doing the calibration. So you after you move to the reference point, and then for the reference point you need to teaching before you replacing the the joint, and then after you have the reference point, and then you need to align the position back. You need to use your step value, and then you, because currently we are replacing the joint tree, and then we try to stepping back step by step until it's come to correct this one, and then you can do the calibration again. Not the do calibration again until this one come to this post. You will see the difference between the old position and the new position on that joint. So it means that the difference is only 0.25 degree. So it means when you going inside on here, so it means when you going inside on here, you will from the point 0.25 degree that we mentioned about. So what you need to do, you need to align the joint going back, just as currently we are using the 0 degree. So if you want, if the point that you teach have the difference between the actual position that you're going to that point, so 0.5 you need to come to this position and select the calibration again. So it means the point will align, the position will align to this point instead. Let me review it again. So the first part, okay, let's say you have the cobot. You have the cobot on this position, and then you are teaching on this position. On this position, you can see that when we align to this point, you can see that okay, this point is correct. But when we replacing the joint, you will see the difference like this. very little. So what you need to do, you need to move the joint step by step for returning it back. So sometimes you will see the differential between on here is only 0.5 to 0.5 degree. If you connect, if you calibrating is good, you replacing is good 2.5 degree, and then you need to basically we will calibration on 0 degree, but for this one you need to come on 2.5 0.5 degree and then do a calibration. So the next time you move to this point, it will offset it back to the point. And the next step, after you finish replacing the point, and then after you finish calibrating the point, calibrating the ABS encoder, and then we will come to calibrating the ABZ and ABC encoder. Before the first step, you need to come on debugging mode again, and then you need to go to this page, produce, and from here you need to select joy you gonna replace, such as currently we are replacing the joy 3, and then you select C calibration. On the C calibration, you need to wait until the process writing down end of calibration, so it means it has already finished doing the C calibration. When doing the C calibration, the cobot will move a little, so please make sure that your cobot will not stuck with some point. And on here for this one, to select to be the invalid or disable. So on here I will recommend you to at the first before we replacing, not at the end of this procedure. And what is the calibration node? The calibration node is actually the one that we are just talking. So from when you doing the calibration by yourself, you will see the different. So from here is a cobot that taking the calibrating by the laser tracker. So you can see that the part is correct, and here is a code that taking the calibrate without laser tracker. You can see the point is different. So you need to ensure that what application you're using before replacing the joint. For example, if you using the pick and paste, so sometimes it's okay, but the application that needs the laser tracker, like the material handling, polishing, spot welding, or painting, it's very important that you didn't remove the joint and then you didn't recalibration the joint. Here is another example so that we show you the difference between using the laser tracker and another one that didn't using the laser tracker. And here is a checklist of absolute accuracy requirement for for laser tracker. It's very expensive tools, and actually we don't have in every region. So if you want to do the calibration, so it means we need to send it back to China. But from here you when you replace the joint and then you use the correct offset point, which I have already taught you just now, and then you will get the correct part. But let's say if you want to do it, so you need to send it back, and here's a recommendation application that you need to use. Robot part is critical 3D, 3D and 2D camera for functioning, including the AGV, AMR, something like this. For this material, mini cobalt L1 underscore 07001 mini cobalt repair induction. So from here, we will talk about how to repair the mini cobalt. So we will talk about the SMP introduction first for this one. So when you want to replace part inside the mini cobalt or you want to repair it, you need to ensure that the robot is powered off and placed in the open post before repair it. The first thing, power off. Here's a free drive. How to free drive without power. So sometimes when we want to move the joint without without power on the cobot, so we need to push this button. Electromagnet brake on here, and then you can move the joint. So the first thing you need to power off, turn off the cabinet, turn off the controller, and dismantle the joint, place down on the shaft on here, and then free drive to the target point, ensure that the shaft is back to original, and then install the joint cover. On here there is a structure inside the joint. The first thing, the structure inside the joint between 2 series and mini cobalt is totally different. The first one, joint cover, and then after we remove it, you will see the PCBA board. For the mini cobalt, PCBA board will control 2 joints at a time. So it means joint 6 and joint 5 will controlling by one PCBA board. And there's a electromagnet brake on here, so base and pin, motor modules and joint housings. This time we call the motor modules on here, so it's quite thick on here, and here's a structure inside the cobot. And here's spare part. Let's go to each part. Let's go to the first part. For the first part, it's a joint replacement, joint cover replacement. So on here you can unscrew 3 screws on here, T-bones, and use the Allen key, and then you will see the part inside. When you see the part inside on here, please don't disassemble anything first. Please take photo first so you can see the cable align, which cable need to align with which one. And as you can see from here, this one is when we want to replace the PCBA, we want to replace the board. The first thing, remove the cover and then remove the cable on here. When you remove the cable, you need to ensure that cable is correct when you want to connect it back. So this one is 0 voltage and this one is 24 until 36 voltage. So when you're using 2 series and mini cobalt, you need to make sure that your power supply is totally different voltage, because the 48 voltage, the 2 series can accept only 48 voltage. The mini cobalt cannot accept 48 voltage. There will some error coming out. And from here you need to remember the motor cable on here, and when you removing it, you need to watch up about the FPC. So after you unplug the cable, and then you remove the screw on here. And then if you assemble it back, you need to adjust the dip switch. 0 is for joy 1, joy 2, 0 1 is for joy 3 and joy 4, and 1 0 is for joy 5 and joy 6. So you need to adjust this back correctly and then restore all the cable. and then come to on here, update the firmware, and then come to the servo upper monitor, and then calibrate C calibrate C value with a servo upper monitor. For next one is replacing the electromagnet replacement. So after you unscrew this one, and then you come to this part, and then if you want to replace because sometimes when we rotate it and stuck, so it means sometimes this brake is not work properly. That's why we need to replace it. And if you want to replace it, remove the screw, and then you remove the cable that connect with this cable with the PLC board, and then you can try to replace it. But if you want to replace it, you need to remove the cable that connect to the PCBA board, because you will not see the screw on here. And here's a end fan removing. So when we want to removing the end fan, so we need to following this method. We need to for the end fan is quite how say special, because you need to remove X screw on here, and then you will see the cable on here, and then you need to remove all the cable, and then you can remove 4 screw on here. And if you want to install it back, so you can remove you can install the TIO PCB board first, and then free button everything. And this is very important, zero sticker. So basically I will recommend you to sticker at the every model such as 2 series or Pro series because when the issue happen, right, we will know what is our zero position to calibrate joint without pulling on the cobot. So we should attach the zero sticker all the time. Base replacement. So from here when you want to replace the base, then you can unscrew this one, and then this one is very for the base replacement is very important, because we quite sometimes we can face the issue when the cable is not aligned correctly or the cable is too tight. After you moving for a long time, you will have some error coming out because the connector didn't lock properly, something like that. So you need to remove this screw, and then you need to lock the cable again. And for replacing it, you just remove the cover, then you cut the cable tie, and then unplug the cable, and then you need to unscrew those 3 screw for PCBA and 16 screw in the course so you can remove the base. After you assemble it back, and then you can do the calibration. And here's an internal cable. So I will not, for this one I will not go quite deep because the method is only when you want to replace it, you need to it's a quite the same procedure. You need to uncover, then you need to remove all the cable on here, and then pull out the cable, and then you will see cable breaking from here, and then you remove it. For the motor module replacement, when we want to replace the motor of the mini cable, so when you order this one, you will come with whole let's see it with this. So when you want to assemble it back, please ensure that you use the thread glue to assemble the screw back so and tighten with the 2.4 Newton. When removing, don't forget to do the C calibration. And here's another method for doing the joint housing replacement. For the mini combo repair, I will go quite fast. For this material, I1/08. Further, for this material, we will talk about the cabinet maintenance operation guide. So for this level, you will know what is the schematic of the circuit design of the cabinet. So when the issue coming out, so you can investigate by yourself, and then and then and then we you can try to replace the part correctly following this manual. But before we going to schematic of the circuit design, I will talk about the tools that you need to use first. The first one is very important, so you need to have the cabinet key, screwdriver, piper, twister, Allen key, socket wrench, thread screw, cable tie. For the socket wrench, the size is the size is 10 millimeters. This one for removing the robot switching power supply, thread screw, cable tie. Cable tie is usually the small one. The first thing, okay, I will explain about the main composition of the controller. The first one is the antenna. When you install the cabinet, don't forget to pull the antenna out so the Wi-Fi can easier to be found. The second one is a dust filter and exhaust fan. So when you want, basically every week we need to pull out this one and then remove the fan and clean it up by using air can, not the water, by using the air can and then put it back. This one is handle. For this part is actually you can see by yourself. I will not go to every main composition of outside of the controller. I will go to the inside. After you open the front panel by removing these two screws around here, there is a two screw at the front panel. After you will see after you open at the front panel, and then after you unscrew, you will see this part is inside. The first part we call the IPC module. IPC module is consists of hard drive, CAN card, and battery. Also, the first one will be hard drive that attached on the IPC module. IPC module is here, and CAN card, and number 3 battery, and number 2 is system control board, SCB board. The software that you updating every time is SCB board, right? So it's updating the memory inside on here. So number 3 is PDU board. PDU board is focusing on here, power delivery unit on here. Number 4 is logic switching power supply, which we focusing on here. Number 5 is robot switching power supply. Robot switching power supply is quite different in each model of the cabinet. So that the cabinet 3 there is only one pieces for 1000 watt. For cap 7 there is 2 pieces for 2000, 1000 and 1000. Number 6 is baking resistor, and number 7 is noise filter. So in each part, what is the purpose of this one? Before we going to the purpose of each part, I will recommend you to see this one first, the schematic of circuit design. The first one, when you apply the AC input to the controller, the first one will be the 10 amp fuse dip switch noise filter. So sometimes if let's say there is a short circuit, this one will protect our controller first, 10 amp fuse. So from here, when you supplying the 220 V AC, and then it will go separately to two sides. The first one will be the logic switching power supply. Logic switching supply will separate the voltage to be 5, 12, and 24 VDC, and then will supply to SCP, IPC, and MCU. For the PDU on here, another side will be supplying to the robot switching power supply, which depending on the model quantity, depending on the model. From here we will converting, being a rectifier, converting the VAC to VDC, and then supplying to the cobot. After we send the signal powering on, it will supply to the cobot. And as you can see from here, the IPC module using 12 voltage, for the MCU using 5 voltage. Let's go back to this page. For this page, wire access is very important for you, because on here, the first one, hard drive, yes, it's a SSD card that have a controller version inside. I will mark down at the red color, so on here you can know the purpose of each part. For the first one, SSD, so controller version will be here. So sometimes when you using the x86 32-bit, and if you want to upgrading to latest version, so it means you need to replace this hard drive because your controller is very old, or you ask a help from your regional technical engineer, and then it can be x64, which means 64-bit. So when you updating the controller version, is will updating the hard drive. So what you can do with this one, you can check memory, you can get the programming, the position. It's actually all the memory is inside here. So what is the CAN card? The CAN card on here is about focusing on the CAN communication. As you can see from here, if you looking quite if you look around here, you will see the CAN CAN card. There is a two cable that can arrive with the CAN card on here. The first one, CAN communication, we call CAN 1 and CAN 2. We're focusing on the CAN 1 of internal controller, because inside the controller we also use CAN data also, and robot itself, cobot arm. For the battery located at the backside of the IPC. So from here, what is the purpose of this one? To contain the clock. It's a clock battery. So if you didn't replace it, the time will go back to 2014. And for the SCP board, it's like a motherboard, so it will controlling the electrical things on the controller. Motherboard, power delivery unit. This one is for protecting the power supply. If you seeing it, you will see the delay for protecting the voltage. So every time if any issue happen with the controller or it happen with the circuit, so this spot might burn at the first part to protect other parts. So from here the PSU, okay, you have already know what is this one, and logic robot switching power supply you also know. For this one, braking resistor, the braking resistor will help you to reduce the unwanted current. What is help you to when you have the motor, because our joy there is a 6 motor inside here. When you want to move the motor turning to this one, so we use the current and voltage to turn on here. So if we want to control motor to turning on here, so when we turning on here and then we move around here, and then if we suddenly stop it, if we suddenly stop it like this again, okay, we stop this one. So when we stop this one, you will see the current can generate it back, so the motor can be the generator and then supply the current back to the controller. And this part, the braking resistor will protecting you by get this one, the current that generate back to the controller being transferring to be the heat power heat energy. So this one is very hot when it's moving all the time. And the next one will be the noise filter. So from here for the number 6, you can image that it's protecting the reverse current going back to the controller. You can say like that. Noise filter to filter all the unwanted frequency. So sometimes if your power supply is not correct, such as it's not 220 VAC or it's not 110 VAC or it's not 50 until 60 Hz, such as maybe 40 something Hz. So this noise filter will block and make the controller cannot be turned on. For the next one, for the next one, for this page is a procedure for replacing. For the procedure for replacing, I will not go to every part. I will go to some part and then let you try to unpack and then let you try to remove and then assemble it back. For example, the fan. Sometimes if the fan doesn't work, you need to remove the fan or replace it. So the first thing that you need to do is the turning off the controller. This is the first procedure that we need to do all the time. And then open the cover and then use a screwdriver to unscrew these two screws and remove the cable tie holding the fan, and then we can unlock on here. You will see the fan, then unplug it out. This cable on here, so please be careful for making any damage to the cable. Here's a assembly back. This is a method how to remove the noise filter, but it's quite rare to find when noise filter is damaged or is broken. Okay, the first one we need to ensure that didn't provide any power to the cobot. So we unplug the power robot AV cable, and then we pressurize this, and then we remove the screw M6 socket and here, and then you can pull it out. The next one is a ACB board, and for this one it's very important that before you replacing it you need to take a photo, because you will forget what connector you need to connect it back. And for each connecting port there's a name on it, so it means you can try to unplug, and then if you remove, such as you remove the number 4 remote stick interface 10 pin. If you remove this cable, and then you can try see what issue will coming out after you removing this one. Such as motion can interface 2 pin number 12. If you removing this one, you will cannot power on the cobot, power on the controller. You cannot turn on the controller for if you removing this one. So as you can see, there's many scenarios that will make the controller damage or make the controller cannot be put up. So I will recommend you to try to remove the cable on here to observe the situation, the real situation, what will happen with the controller. And you can see number 14 is very important also, because there is a label to inform you what is the version of this HP and what is the serial number. And let's see on the Wi-Fi module. On the Wi-Fi module, you can see that there are two LAN cable connecting on here. One is connecting to the IPC, and one is connecting to the ACB. After you, if you disable this two LAN cable, if you unplug it out, so let's say you unplug number 2, you will see the you will see the Wi-Fi coming out, and then but when you try to connect the cobot inside the JAKA app, you will cannot connect it. And here is a procedure of ACB replacement. So when you want to replace the ACB, you need to ensure that all the cable you have already taken the photo and know how to assemble it back. And you need to untie the cable tie, and then remove all the cable, and then remove 7 screw on here and take the ACB out. And then after you connecting the ACB back, and then the first thing that you need to do, you need to upgrade. After you can connect all the cable back and then powering on, and then you need to upgrade ACB following the schedule on here, following the update procedure on here. So but procedure on here, I have already explained you how to upgrade the ACB board. It's the same procedure. So for updating the ACB board, you need to ensure that what version of the ACB board you are using. If you're using the low version, you need to upgrading to transit version first before you upgrading to the latest version or the target version that you want. Here's a method how to replace the Wi-Fi module. So for the Wi-Fi module, you can only unscrew only fuse cable, and then you unscrew the you can remove only few cable and then unscrew only 3 screw on here, and then you can remove it out. When you connecting the assembly the Wi-Fi is back, the first thing that you need to do, you need to check the name, because every time you remove, you will get the Wi-Fi name add on here, hiding something. When you open the Wi-Fi, you will see, after you turn on everything, and you will see the Wi-Fi appear hiding something. So you need to change the name going back to the controller serial number. So you need to use a password for going inside. For going inside, there is quite a lot of password that I need to tell you. The first password is okay, maybe the Wi-Fi is locked, so you need to use this one until 8 for going inside but let's say if you cannot use it, if you can connect it inside, then when you need to type down 10.5.5.1 on here, and use on the web browser, you see this page coming out, and you need to input the username, admin, and password, JAKA admin 123 or admin. So, and then you can adjust the name on here, and then after you adjust the name, and then you can reconnect the Wi-Fi again. The next board is a PDU board. For this board, you also can try to remove and then checking out what is the issue coming out if you remove some cable on here. But the thing that you cannot remove is a breaking resistor connection on here, because this one will protect you from getting the reverse current from the motor. So if you remove this one, sometimes if you move the cobot very high speed, so it will generate the current and then damage this one. And here's a method how to remove it. Actually, when removing this one is quite hard if you didn't remove the robot switching power supply on here or the logic switching supply on here. So when you want to remove it, I will recommend you to remove the logic, but it's quite hard also. So you can remove from this first, unplug all the cable, then remove screw at the bottom of the controller, and then you can, after you remove all the cable, and then you can pull it out. But when you removing all the cable, it's quite difficult to remove it with the logic switching power supply here. And then for the next part is IPC replacement. For this one, you need to remove it every 2 years for replacing the battery inside. On here there is a battery. If you flip it, you will see the battery, and then if you didn't replace it, the clock will going back to 2014. But from here there is a part inside on here and the connector, so you can try to remove it by yourself also to see what issue coming out if you remove which cable, because sometimes if you use it for a long time, it will face the issue. Sometimes the cobot is the cable is connector is loosened, so sometimes it's not connect properly. That's why we need to figure it out. This is the main issue. Sometimes it's not connect properly. You just push it and then use a cable tie to lock the cable. Then the problem will be solved. And here's method how to remove the IPC For removing the IPC is very the simple thing. You can remove the cable. After you remove all the cable, and then you remove the screw on here. After you remove screw on here, then you can take it out. And you see after you flip it, you will see the battery inside here, and then you can replace it. And here's the procedure for replacing the hard drive. Sometimes, let's say if your controller, your controller is broken, and then you have a spare controller, and you want to get everything, so you can swap the hard drive. It will solve the issue, because and then for the broken cabinet you can repair it outside. For example, when the production line is stopped because the controller is broken, uh, with some parts inside here is broken, but not this part, not the hard drive. So, and you have the spare controller. So if you want to support customer immediately, then you can swap the controller. You can swap the hard drive to the new controller, and then use the new controller to running the code. And for the hard drive, if you replace the new one, before you replacing, you need to backup it first, going inside the app and then import file and select all, export file, and then if you want to get the backup, then so you select import file, and then the controller profile will coming on here. And for the programming, you also need to backup it separately. For the backup procedure, I have already taught you inside the app setting, app training video. Last but for this one, PSU robot switching power supply unit. For the power supply, if you open it up, you will see the cable on around here, and then what you need to do, you need to use the socket range, long socket range 10 millimeters to unscrew it, and then you can remove whole unit like this. After you removing the whole unit, you can see the voltage on here. So if you want to measure the voltage, you also can measure from here. So it should be 48 voltage. And last but not least, this one, the baking resistor. The baking resistor is around here, is near next to the PDU board. So when you want to remove it, and then you need to unscrew the cable, and then unplug the cable, and then unscrew it, and then you can remove it out. For the part number, actually for removing it, I recommend you to go inside the service manual. For the service manual, there is a part number of each product. But for the component inside the controller, if you want to order, you need to pass level 1 first, so you can order it. And if you want to see the part number inside the controller, you can come to the Google Drive that I will share to you, and come on here, you will see the spare part list with the price. So on here, if you want to spare, there is a part, as you can see, there is a part number here that you can order. For this material, we will teach you how to use the Wi-Fi module command setting guide for this one. So basically, when you want to set something inside the Wi-Fi, you need to connecting by LAN port number 1. For the cabinet is a front panel LAN port. For the minicap is a LAN port number 1 on here. So the first thing you need to adjust the setting inside your computer first, your laptop, and then you adjust to auto, and then you can come on type on this browser 10.5.5.1, and then you can go inside by using this password. After you going inside, you can see that there is a name that you can change from here, or if you want to turn off the Wi-Fi or anything, you can do it from here also. And after you finish setting everything, then you can click apply. And if you want to lock the password of the Wi-Fi, you also can enable from here. Choose this one and then type your password, and then click OK. And the next method is how to firmware upgrading of the Wi-Fi. After you can access inside on here, and then you come to this page, and then you come to upload firmware, and then you can select this one. On here you can upload the firmware file, and then you click apply and wait for 10 seconds until the Wi-Fi is reset itself. And for when you updating the firmware, actually there's another method to doing it. It's a short circuit between P2 and not P2 and this one, and then antenna connecting it. But I will just only update it by using this file. I link something